Oh, man, excuse me. That's a good way to start the show, right? It's Friday, everybody. What's going on? How you doing? What's happening? It's Friday. It's Friday, everybody. And it's the beginning of the show. We got to get warmed up. Sitting on my foot, which has fallen asleep. Actually, hasn't fallen asleep yet. It's going to. I could tell. I sat down on it like 5 minutes ago. And excuse me for burping at the beginning. I'm very sorry. I'm so sorry I burped. But I just drank my shake of the day. I keep calling it a shake. Why do I keep calling it a shake? I'm getting that horribly, terribly wrong. It's a smoothie. Schmoovie. Is that how we talk now? Is that how we do this? Is that how we talk? We're like, what's up? Schmoovie. Whoa. I guess we're just saying schmoovie from now on. Just be like, hi, man. Schmoovie. Right at the beginning of the show, scream into the microphone, deafen people's earballs. Sorry for burping and sorry for screaming into the microphone. It's just Friday, you guys. It's Friday, you sweeties. How are you sweeties doing today? Let's see who's in the chat. What is going on in the chat? Who is first? Alyssa Bentley. Not only does she get to be on the show, she can't wait for next Friday because she'll be back. You guys, every other Friday, Alyssa's going to be on here. Unless we somehow deem ourselves unsuccessful, just like the Real Fish Talk did. Alyssa will be here, and we'll keep doing it. And, you know, speaking of that, how do we become more successful on the internet? I guess we have to internet people, like, I don't know, post it on Reddit and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. You know, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't go onto Twitter. I have a Twitter account. I hate it. I can't deal with it over there. It's too toxic. I mean, Facebook is toxic. Let's be honest. Facebook is toxic, but the Twitter sphere is just that next level of, like, crazy. I cannot deal with it. So I don't really go on the Twitter. The Twitter. I say it like I'm 100 years old. I don't go on them old tweeters. Some kind of weirdo. I guess I am a weirdo, but I'm not that kind of weirdo. Anyhow, I don't go on to Twitter, but I do go on to Facebook, but I don't share it on there. So maybe one of you lovely people that like watching the show and want to see it grow a little bit, maybe you guys will share it out like next week or something. You'll be like, oh my God, Alyssa's going to be on the show. I'm so excited. And you'll be all freaking out, and it'll just be in text, so no one will really understand like how excited you are. Maybe you'll make a video about it. I don't know. I don't know what y'all going to do, but maybe next week you'll help, the fan peoples will help promote the Alyssa Bentley going wild and coming on the show, because we're going to keep doing that every other week. Unless it becomes like super, super popular, and then maybe we'll do it every week. I don't know. I don't know how this works. I don't know how this thing works. I've never been one of those people that was so successful to be able to like make a decision like, we're going to do a thing 100 million billion. I'm happily successful in my life, and I'm not dissatisfied, but I've never been one of those people that's like, yeah, let's really put the crazy time into doing the thing, you know? I've never been in that position. I've always been like, I gotta make sure I pay my electric bill on time. Oh, and that's a victory, you know? I've always been that guy. I mean, you know, I do have a little bit of money in savings and stuff like that. I'm not hard up or nothing, but I've just never been, I've never been in that position to go like, yes, we're going to do this thing for 3 months and find out what happens. So we're just kind of winging it. Luckily, Alyssa owns her own company, so she has able to fit into one of her days every 2 weeks into the schedule to be able to like kind of work a half day, you know, and then come over here and do the show and stuff. So I don't know. The whole beginning of the show just started me talking about Alyssa and burping and all sorts of nonsense. Well, it's Friday, so that's life. Who was second to the chat, though? Jim Smith. Jim Smith has been super active over on the Discord. If you don't know what the Discord is, I guess keep watching the show, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But what's up, Jim? What's up, Creedmoor, also on the Discord? Big D Smoke on the Discord. You guys showing up? You guys showing up early because I sent out the notification early to the Discord. I like it. That is cool. And Michael Sarr also. See you there. Ricardo Santiago. Yes, a bunch of people from the Discord showing up. Jake D663. Byron Volman, what's up? I see Turbo Fish, the main tank. Joel G, straight out of New Zealand. OG, New Zealand style. I like it. We got a super chat from our guy Rumbust here. 19.21 Swedish krones. Coming in hot, coming in fresh, reminding people that, yes, I have been sober for 1,921 days, and I say life doesn't get much better than that. And I think, just as a reminder here to you all, I think one of the misconceptions of people getting sober, and you're going to, you go to meetings and stuff, and they think it's just a bunch of weirdos, like, sitting in a room talking about how sad their life is and stuff like that. But here's an example right here. And, this isn't like something that is secret because we downloaded this off the internet. But this is a review of fears, right? So you can list your fears and stuff and then work through your motivations, find out what's going on. Which part of self caused the fear, your effects? Is it self-esteem, personal relationship, material, emotional, acceptance, acceptable relations, hidden relations, social, security, sexual, selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, frightened, inconsiderate? And it's one of those things that, like, when you get sober, there's work to do. There's literally paperwork to do. Now, if you're not somebody that can do paperwork, there is somebody that's going to help you through that stuff. But I think what the misconception is, it's just a bunch of people sitting around in a room talking about stuff, right? And they're just like, hey, man, this one time I drove a car off a bridge and it was wild. And, oh, man, yeah. But that's really not what it is. It's like going to a therapist. It's like going to therapy and working through stuff. And I actually found some of my old copies today because I was trying to find actually just a piece of paper so that I could write my notes for the show today down over here. And I've already gone like 9 minutes overboard here talking about stuff I didn't even plan on talking about. But regardless of that, thank you for the super chat. And if you are somebody out there that is struggling with drugs or alcohol or any of that kind of stuff, seriously, there's a much better life out there. And I always try to kind of bring this up, that don't compare yourself to me and my life or anything like that. Compare my life to my life now. Because it's on the internet, you can actually go back and you can see some of the videos that I put up 9-10 years ago, stuff like that, and just see like how much of a disaster I was. You can compare me to that person, right? And then you could go like, maybe I could improve my life to that degree, right? Right? Because it would be weird for anybody to be like, well, I don't want to end up with like a weird beard and like some weird dude who's talking about plants and fish all the time and stuff like that. I don't want to have to be doing any of that stuff. That's weird. So you could just compare me to me and then go, maybe your life could improve by that metric, right? That you'd be like, oh, don't like it down here. I'd rather be up here in the upper area of where whoever's life could be, and maybe that's a way that helps somebody kind of figure it out. Is that you just can compare your own life to your own situation, and maybe it's just that much better. Joel Gillett with the $2 super chat says, "Hello, my sweeties. Hello." Well, hello there. Good day. He's got the good day. I don't know if they good day in New Zealand. I know they good day in Australia. David Gilkinson said, "My wife just yelled from upstairs. Not that guy again." Well, I don't want to get you in trouble with your wife, but I try to keep this show as family friendly as possible. And well, maybe not as possible. Maybe that's an overreach of me saying as family friendly as possible. I suppose I could make it more family friendly from some of the kids' YouTube stuff that I've seen recently that is just mind-bogglingly bad. I don't know. I've gone down the rabbit hole, you guys. I have gone down the rabbit hole of YouTube kids, and I tell you, it is a weird place. But I will say this, Netflix actually has some really good kids stuff. So the YouTube stuff is terrible from what I've seen so far. Maybe there's some really good stuff out there. Most of the YouTube stuff I've seen is, well, not all of it, but most of it is pretty terrible as far as the kids content goes. But the Netflix stuff seems to be really curated. Like this is actually something that's cool. And I would say this, got to watch a kids show today and it had Snoop Dogg in it. Which is just so many levels of funny in its own right. It's a show called Storybots. I don't know if you guys have seen it. But there is just so many layers to that show that it's just mind-boggling. So the Storybots are they're like little transistors. They're computer parts. They go around and they solve kids' questions, right? Like, what's the answer to the question that these kids have? It's great. Now, all of the transistors are all different colors and sizes in relation to what hertz they are. So, of course, the little tiny yellow one is all super fast and stuff because it's a super high hertz. Then, of course, the long blue one is slow and right? And then the little red one, that's just funny. It's just so funny. And anyhow, so they were asking the computer, like, how does the computer work? And then they were asking it about a cat, like, what's a cat? Anyhow, so they go deep into the computer. Snoop Dogg is, of course, the operating system of the computer, and it is... it just makes me laugh, just the layers of hilarity. Anyhow, we got a $10 super chat from the Fish Tank Barn for the Vivarium Fund. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that a lot. I've got that on my notes here to talk about. I will be going to Vivarium in the Netherlands in November. So let me cross this off the list. There's a shrimp contest. There's aquascaping stuff. There's a bunch of cool things. I don't know. It's the Netherlands. It's going to be rad. Hopefully I can meet Rumbust. It's a short trip for him to come out to the Netherlands. A bunch of other Europeans that watch the channel that would want to meet me in person. Stuff like that. It should be a ton of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to be filming everything that I'm allowed to film. I'm going to try to go to some stores. I've talked to Johan about going out. We're going to meet up. He's going to help give me rides around places, show me the Netherlands, that kind of stuff. It's going to be totally rad, and I'm looking forward to it. And the funny thing is that people were people have been asking me if I'm going to be going to Aquashella or any of that kind of stuff. And I'll be honest with you, like, it's going to be cheaper for me to go to the Netherlands than it is to go to Aquashella or the Aquatic Experience. Don't ask me how that works. I don't know. That's just, it's going to be more affordable for me to go to Europe than it is for me to go within my own country. Now, it is the other side of my country, which is fairly large. The United States is pretty large, but it's going to be cheaper for me to go out there. booking what I would consider to be a pretty nice hotel on the internet site. Looking at it from the internet, I don't know. Maybe it's just creepy. Maybe it's actually creepy, and they're gonna trick me with their internet fanciness. But booking a good hotel, I mean, I'll tell you this much: we booked a hotel out at the Aquatic Experience, and I think we booked it for like 3 nights, and I think we split the bill, and it was like $1,100 or something like that. Corey and I split it, but like just bizarro. Anyhow, it's gonna be more affordable for me to go to Europe, so that's kind of weird. And I think it'll be much better content for you guys. And when I say you guys, I just mean like people online. You can't go. You'd like to maybe see it. And as far as the Aquashella and Aquatic Experience, there's going to be a whole bunch of people there that do YouTube. So I think you guys will have it covered and smothered. Covered and smothered with YouTube videos that you'll be able to watch. And thank you, Mike, for your super chat. The Fish Tank Barn, check it out. He's got a YouTube channel. It's pretty good. Big D Smoke with a $10 super chat saying just because it's been a couple of weeks. Thanks, Dennis. I really appreciate your support, man. I love being able to talk to you guys on Discord now. I feel like between Patreon and Discord, it seems to be kind of the best way to kind of communicate with people. I think it's a really cool thing. If you're a member on YouTube, you can go into my community. You can go into my community tab, and you can find the Discord also. So if you do become a member on YouTube, you end up with a bright green name in the chat. You get a cool emoji after your name. You'll notice that some people have like a little picture of me next to their name, like Shelby Ray Lane right there. Those are people that have been supporting for over 6 months, man, and or 6 months. I think that's how long it has been active. You've been able to be a member. So I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody else too. So yeah, that's where. And you'll be able to find the Discord. Also, if you're on the Patreon, you'll be able to get some extra features from being on the Patreon to be able to get onto the Discord. It'll automatically link you if you join up onto the Patreon as little as $1 a month to become a patronizer, and then you can get into the Discord. It's kind of how it works. And if you do, and to be brutally honest, like if you're somebody that has deleted your Patreon and you're in the Discord, you'll be marked accordingly. It's just kind of how it has to work. There has to be rules, right? I guess. Fish Tank Barn says that hotel was super expensive at the Aquatic Experience. Yep, it's one of those things that like when Aquatic Experience was in Schaumburg, Chicago, right? When the Aquatic Experience was in Schaumburg, one of the funny things is that you have these little convention centers, right? Where you have like a convention hall and all that kind of stuff, and then you have a bunch of hotels surrounding it. The hotels around it know that the people flying in, they're going to stay at those hotels that are near there because they're probably not going to rent a car. They're probably not going to be traveling around a lot. So you end up getting a hotel room that's right near where the convention is, and they know that they can just raise the rates up. So they raise the rates up super high because they know, oh, there's a convention this weekend, and a bunch of people will be here, and they're going to book rooms, so we all raise our rates, and then all the hotels do it. So it's one of those things. That's one of the reasons that makes it so expensive to go, unless you can what's the word? What am I looking for here? Unless you can like rent a car and stay like far away, which that is sort of the cost that you would have saved anyhow is paying a rental car company. So, yeah. Alana Suki says an hour from Chicago. Yeah, Schaumburg is not in Chicago. But they'll be like, oh, yeah, it's in Chicago. It's like, no, it's in Schaumburg. It's like, I live in Tacoma, and Tacoma, Washington, which is about, I think, 38 miles south of Seattle. And it would be like saying that you had an event going on in Seattle, but it was actually in Tacoma, right? You'd be like, the Seattle Convention, come to it. And then it would actually just be in Tacoma. You're like, that's 40 miles away and a different city. Why don't you just call it that? But, yeah, it's a little bit weird. Oddball Aquatics says, thanks for hanging out in my horrible live stream last night and checking out my new rack. Hey, I'll always spin out to check out a new rack, fish tank style. You know? You get jokes, right? Yeah, it's okay. Vicky would probably stab me if she heard me saying that. She'd be like, oh, fish tank rack. Right. Right. I'll be like, well, I don't know. Anyhow, so today is fairly eventful on a Friday here because we had our 9-month checkup for the old wizened Olivia Bear, the little peanut. Ooh, where's my arrow? I bet you my arrow's facing the wrong way. Hold on. Let's activate arrow. Oh, man. Now we got to turn the arrow around. Where's the button for that? Oh, there we go. Yes. This little peanut went to market. This little peanut stayed home. No. I don't know. I can't say that. I'll probably get copyright strike or something. But the little peanut baby at her 9-month checkup, it's been a little over 9 months. You know, those doctor scheduling is a little bit crazy, but yeah, she had her 9-month checkup today. Everything went great. One of the weird things about being a new parent is you do realize there's a bunch of weird stuff you're probably going to have to deal with. And one of those things today was one of the weird things today was, so our pediatrician, who I want to call a podiatrist for whatever reason, I always say podiatrist. I don't know, like, no, that's a foot doctor. That's a feet doctor. The pediatrician was kind of wondering about something may or may not have going on with their hips. He was like, I don't think there is, but let's just get an x-ray to find out. So we rolled our happy little baby down to the x-ray. And I tell you what, I'm not saying that like, whoops, that's the wrong button. I mean, that's a helpful button because that is a great overlay from the Aquathusiast. I gotta see if I can ever meet the Aquathusiast at some point in time. Anyhow, there's a lot of weird things that you have to do, and so we rolled down to the x-ray with our happy little baby. She didn't really know what's going to happen. Then we get in there, and I always love the radiation, or what do they call rad techs, right? The x-ray tech, those guys that work there. So we have to put on these lead vests, right? You have to put on the lead vests because they're going to take x-rays. But the person that's getting the x-rays taken, right? Like, they're not putting on a lead vest. They're just shooting them with the radiation, right? I don't know. And maybe it's something that I don't understand, but I've gotten so many x-rays in my life. They're like, well, we don't mess around with radiation. It's like, it seems like you are messing around with radiation because you shoot the radiation at the person that's getting the x-rays, right? So it sounds kind of like you're messing around with radiation, but either way, we had to hold her down and try and keep her like perfectly still while they take the x-rays. And was I traumatized? I was traumatized. Olivia was fine. She was fine. She was fine. And then she was like, oh, what are you guys doing? I'm not having this anymore. This is terrible. And so that was a little bit traumatizing. So maybe some fellow parents out there know what I'm talking about and just having a little bit of trouble with that situation. Kevin Rosenberg says he's thinking of adding some rummy nose to my 75 Blackwater. Current stock 30 green neons, 20 red phantoms, 15 pencilfish. But should I just keep 2 tetra species? I would certainly. I mean, I don't think I would put rummy nose in there with what you already have. I would just stick with what you have and build the schools up on those fish. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm laughing at Dom. Yeah, because with a lead vest, you can't see anything. The podiatrist is a foot doctor. I don't understand how you become like a foot doctor. It just doesn't ever seem to me that like you got to get a doctorate in fixing feet. Seems weird. D. Tracy says, can you recommend a hardy floating plant, please, for very hard water in London, UK? Everything I buy melts. 0 ammonia, 0 nitrite, 25 nitrate. Thank you. You know, floating plants are weird in the way that I would say if I wanted to add some floating plants, the first thing you want to do is really consider how much surface agitation you have going on. If you got a ton of flow going on in the aquarium itself, like on the surface especially, that's typically one of the big reasons why floating plants will die off. Floating plants have the advantage of being up in our atmosphere up here, which is 415, I think 416 parts per million CO2 now. I think it was 416 last time I checked. I think it spiked over 420. 420 CO2. We're going to die. Just a little while ago. But I think it's holding at like 416 or something like that now. But either way, over 400 parts per million CO2 in the air. So they really have a much easier uptake in nutrient and stuff by being up above the water and not being kind of stifled out by the water. The water doesn't suffocate the plants per se. It doesn't like stifle it out just because it's underwater. It's just much more difficult for it to utilize and uptake CO2 because it's more difficult for CO2 to be, what's the word I'm looking for there? Dispersed into the water column. That's not the right word, but you get what I'm saying. Typical water in a freshwater aquarium only has like 7 parts per million or something like that of CO2, so there's just a lot less CO2 to drive the photosynthesis. One of the big reasons why dinosaurs were so big is there was so much more oxygen in the air back then, right? So what we breathe in and what plants breathe in does change the size of things and how well you can uptake nutrients and stuff. Now, with that CO2 missing underwater, or sorry, hold on. Let me get my thoughts back together here. I lost my brain thinkings. I read somebody's comment and it derailed my brain. Anyhow, so if the plant is actually up in above the water, has a lot of CO2, nutrient uptake is not that big of a deal. Hard water is really not going to affect it that much either. So what I would do personally is just get some duckweed. Super easy to find duckweed. It's easy. And it's not that big of a deal, right? And throw some duckweed in there and then try and get your flow correct on the surface up there to kind of keep them from tumbling around and doing all kind of crazy stuff, and then kind of go that route. Water lettuce, any of that kind of stuff is going to be fine. Red root floaters, any of those kinds of plants. Anything you'll find that's floating should do well as long as it's not super agitated and getting water all splashed up on it and tumbling around and doing all that stuff. That's what I would focus on if I was trying to do floating plants. I do a lot of floating plants in my sumps. Not a lot of surface agitation in my sumps. There is a fair bit of surface agitation in my oh God. I drank that smoothie and it's making me burp, and I'm really trying not to burp. Anyhow, so I have a lot of floating plants in my sumps because I don't have a ton of surface agitation down there in the areas where those floating plants are, and they do much better down there. And because of my display tank, I don't want a bunch of floating plants in them because that's how I have them set up. They're not set up to have floating plants, so there's nothing wrong with them. I like floating plants a lot. Whew, sorry. I kind of scatterbrained today because having gone to the doctor and all that stuff earlier today was a little bit weird. Another 50 years, we won't even need to inject CO2. Well, I guess, realistic, Warren, if we keep up what we're doing another 50 years, we won't be here. Donald's Fish Vibe asks, Joel, I'm thinking about getting a rimless tank, 150 gallons, like what George Farmer has. It's costing me about $2,400 US. Is that price reasonable? No, I don't think that's a reasonable price at all. Personally, I personally do not think that that's a reasonable price. If it's a glass tank, if it's a glass tank, it should be about $700, maybe $800, maybe $900. Maybe if it's like super fancy glass, like low lead content, like Starfire glass or something like that, maybe $1,500 if it's glass. I do know that acrylic tanks of that size with the overflows and all that kind of stuff should be about $1,300 to $1,400, if that. So it does not sound like a good deal. Does not sound like a good deal to me. It sounds to me like you're probably getting like an ADA tank or something like that. So I would look around. $2,400 just for a tank is quite a bit, and that might include the stand and stuff like that. I typically don't buy stands, but a stand for a 150 gallon tank should probably at most be like $299, maybe $399 if it was made out of something really really fancy. Oddball Aquatic says, "Oh my God, why did you not prepare me for the first scene of Endgame? Now I'm sick and sad." Why did no one prepare you for a movie that came out 6 months ago? I don't know. I mean, maybe it didn't come out 6 months ago. Maybe it was 4 months ago, but I don't know. I don't know why. Just wait till you get to the end. You're going to be super pissed. I don't want to spoil it for you because you're literally in the chat right now, even though I shouldn't worry about it. Because what is that? It's even on Netflix now, I think, or Amazon. I'm not sure. It's like not even in theaters anymore. I don't know. But the ending of Endgame is a nightmare. It's a personal nightmare for me. UG Aquatic says, "Are you familiar with the lake in Africa that exploded because of the CO2 levels in it?" Not familiar with that. Not sure. Donald says, with the follow-up, yes, tank, stand, and filtration, etc. I'm in Trinidad, Tobago. It's a modern system. Okay, maybe in Trinidad that might be accurate. Maybe in Trinidad that might be accurate. Now, I'm thinking about it. You know, you might have to do a bunch of shipping. You might have this and that. Like, maybe it's $1,600 and it's $800 to ship it. It could be, that could definitely be the case. Shipping costs really add up if you have to ship it somewhere. So it could be different. So Trinidad might be a decent deal. I don't know. Let's see. Big D Smoke says, I saw something that would like raised cockroaches in one tank with certain oxygen level and the others in a much higher oxygen level, and they were double the size. Yep. So, yeah, I would definitely keep that in mind, that CO2 and oxygen definitely do change the size and growth and all that stuff. So, I guess that was probably in relation to the floating plants situation that D was asking about. Let's see. Okay. I think I'm all kind of caught up on the chat. Yeah. The exploding lake comment there, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't heard of that. Anyhow, let's get on to our next thing, the Aquarium Co-op. If you guys haven't stopped by the Aquarium Co-op, they're our affiliate sponsor, which means if you guys buy stuff from the Aquarium Co-op, let's see, what's my favorite thing from Aquarium Co-op? Let's go Easy Green Fertilizer. Everybody needs fertilizer. Everybody needs, iron, stuff like that. Easy iron, easy carbon. If you're somebody that doesn't have, if you're somebody that doesn't, where did my stupid window go here? There we go. If you're somebody that doesn't have like a CO2 system or something like that, easy carbon is basically liquid CO2. You can dose it into your tank, dose it into your tank, dose it into your tank until you can find like a used CO2 system. And I'm talking specifically to the kind of people that don't have CO2 at all yet. I recommend always going to Craigslist or something like that for your first CO2 system. It's going to be the cheapest. It's the most economical way to get probably some good equipment, get a tank, that kind of stuff for a really reasonable price, and go that route. And so you can kind of figure out how to dial things in and stuff like that, and how you want to actually run your system and go that route. What do we got here? I'm tagged in something. Anyhow, the whole reason I was talking about that was because Aquarium Co-op is our affiliate sponsor. So if you're looking for Easy Green, which is a great fertilizer, it's super easy. It's got the pump top. It gives you the math, how to figure it out. If you're in the U.S., you can buy it. I believe it's like $50 and over. You get free shipping. Stuff is super fast, professionally shipped. I love everybody that works over there, from Corey to Katie to Randy to Jimmy to Justin to Robert to Caitlin to Jordan to Alfredo to I think a new guy named Kevin to Nick. I'm probably forgetting people. Candy. Everybody at the Aquarium Co-op is super awesome. I love everybody there. They do a great job. Best customer service around. Best products around. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba. And hopefully they'll be back from Peru. And yeah. Blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Worst commercial ever. Affiliate sponsor, so we don't get any money unless you guys buy stuff. So you know how that goes. Anyhow, the next topic is our schedule. Our schedule is returning back to normal for a little bit, for a short period of time. Basically, we're getting through August here, and things will get pretty normal after Labor Day. I will not be in town for the Labor Day madness. I think we have a house sitter who's going to be here, take care of the fishes and the doggies and the chickens and all that kind of stuff. So we have somebody watching the house. And then, because we have a family reunion type camping trip, that kind of stuff. So we have like a family thing. We have a family camping trip. Then hopefully we're going to get to go on a rafting trip, which is awesome because I have the DJI Osmo Pocket, which, by the way, is my favorite fish tank camera now. It's my favorite camera. It's a little tiny thing. It's like a GoPro, but it's like better than the GoPro. I'm not going to get into it because it's not that big of a deal. Hold on. I'll get you guys a link if you guys are wondering what the hell I'm talking about. DJI makes those drones, right? Then they made the DJI Osmo Pocket. The Osmo Pocket is cool, and I have one of those. I got that as a gift. And But the Osmo Action, here we go. It's their reply. It's their clapback at what you call it, like GoPro, right? And here's a link to it. That'll take you to Amazon. The link for it. Dig it. It's awesome. I love this thing, and it's waterproof. It's basically waterproof, like, I think it's waterproof to like 30 feet or something like that. But I'll tell you this much. It's waterproof, like, just all up in my aquarium, which is basically something I need all the time. And it's dope. Works well. Totally happy with it. It's like $350, and I can throw it in a fish tank and film stuff inside the tank, which is rad. I don't have any of that footage today because we're going to be doing some other stuff because we got to go to the Patreon here very soon, which is our next thing coming up. But the whole reason I was bringing any of that up is because our schedule is returning. I can't wait to film the rafting this year from first-person perspective, and very excited. Very excited to be able to do that stuff. That'll be kind of the big hurrah for the end of the summer, which means I'm going to miss a couple of shows and stuff like that, but I'm doing my best to edit some kind of real fancy videos for while I'm gone. Hopefully some real long format kind of videos that should be pretty cool. Preston says, from my cell, I can't tag Joel. A great friend of mine has some fish with Camellanus worms. I've never heard of them before, but apparently I'm the only one that hasn't. Do you know about them? Yes, I do know about them. There's some pretty simple treatments that that you can utilize out there. Most of them are sort of in America, like the easiest way to treat with them is levamisole, which, if I recall correctly, is a dog dewormer. I think the fenbendazole dog dewormer that I posted last week, fenbendazole. Hold on. The one that I had, I think, has levamisole in it also. Let me see. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe. It's the one that I get is the Safeguard 4, which is tapeworm, roundworm, hookworm, whipworm. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. So this is the one that I normally use that has fenbendazole in it, but I can't remember if this has levamisole in it or not also. Active ingredients in each dosage. This is fenbendazole. Okay. I think maybe there's another canine dog wormer that has levamisole. Let me see if... let me see if... I thought Aquarium Co-op has levamisole. Let me see. Levamisole. No. Am I spelling that right? Maybe I spelled it wrong. Seems like Aquarium Co-op doesn't have it. Oh, I think I recall like a conversation that he didn't want to carry it anymore for whatever reason. I think you need some kind of weird license for it. Let me see. Valley Pet Supply. Yeah, it looks like you have to go to a veterinarian for levamisole, I think. So apparently there's some kind of nonsense you can do with it that may or may not be illegal. I don't know. I'm not in that. Into doing illegal stuff. So I don't know. Maybe there is. But yeah. So levamisole is the one, not fenbendazole, not the Prazipro. Greg Sage has it. That is a great point. There we go. And Candy posted the selectaquatics.com. Greg Sage has it. Yeah, Greg Sage has levamisole, supplies that. And, yeah. So that's a great spot. Stop in there. Greg Sage is an awesome dude, and he carries it. And that will work pretty good. Yes. Okay, so we're on to Patreon fun questions and posts of the week, which means I got to go over here to scene numero uno, right? Yes, it worked. We got Jim Smith first into the Patreon today. First into the Patreon, first into our hearts. I hit the little heart button. See that? Turned green. It turned from nothingness into greenness. And I know that greenness isn't a word, but I like using non-words because it entertains me and it makes me laugh. And joy is the whole reason for life anyhow, right? Okay, let's not get too weird today. Can you see the scratch on my nose right here? I just realized. Little Olivia went with her little laser fingernails. She's got those little infant fingernails that are like razor blades. I don't understand that. Is it some kind of like... Is this supposed to protect her from wild animals or something? I don't get it. I don't understand. I like how the stuff behind me looks super crooked too. That's pretty smooth. What is with that? Should have flattened this out. Why didn't anybody mention that earlier? Everybody's in here in the chat didn't even mention that the everything looks super crooked in the background. Woo! Anyhow, our first post from the Patreon, if you're confused with the Patreon, that is how we crowdfund being able to make this show, make produced videos, all that kind of stuff. You can go from $1 a month up to $1 million a month if you like, but if you're going to donate that much money, why don't you give me a heads up ahead of time so they don't take the 10% that they take? Because if you donate if you wanted to do 100, or if you wanted to do $1 million a month, that'd be $100,000 to the hosts of the Patreon page. So, hey, if you want to go big, just hit me up on an email and let me know, or become a Patreon for a smaller amount, and then you can message me on the Discord or something like that. But you get access to the Discord. You're able to post up here in the community that can be in the public part of the community that people can all swing by there, check it out, see what's going on, and you get to be on the show on Fridays when we go over the Patreon posts, because there's a lot of questions, and you get to post pictures and stuff like that. So, hey, I think it's cool, and I love being able to have a back and forth with you guys. So this is making it possible. It's making it possible. Jim asked what happened to the 250 Rominos from a year or so ago. Question mark, exclamation mark, smiley face. Appreciate the question. Yeah, the Rummy Nose video actually did pretty well. And to be honest with you, videos like that do pretty well on YouTube. It's like, I've got 500 fish and I'm gonna dump them into a tank. People will click on it and they're gonna watch it, even though it's not a whole lot of substance to those videos. It's kind of a clickbait thing, and realistically, I could just keep making videos like that where I've got 1,000 fish, I'm dumping them into a tank. That's not necessarily the content I really want to make, but it did pretty well, and I know people really like Rummy Nose. My Rummy Nose are doing pretty well. Honestly, those came wild caught, and we had to go through the transition period, so we not only did we ran all 3 meds on them, so Icax, oh crap, what are they? Icax, something else. Panicure, and something else, I think. Whatever the Aquarium Co-op trio is, I don't remember off the top of my head. Sorry, I'm in the middle of a show. I'm doing terribly. It's a terrible Friday show, but that's all right. Anyhow, we ran them through the med trio. 2 weeks. Some of them died. Some of them didn't die. Some of them did okay. Some of them were skinny. A lot of them were from the wild. So we transitioned. Probably about 50 of them died off within the first month. Then now it's been about a year, so a bunch of them have just not made it because it's probably just the end of their life. They haven't been egg scattering that much. All I've been doing is bulking them up, trying to do water changes, and see if I can get them to naturally breed. So one of the steps with that is I basically segregated some groups of them. So I've got some in one environment, I've got some in a different environment, and then I have some in the same environment in a different space, right? So we got that going, and they're still not breeding or whatever. I'm probably down to about 100, I would say maybe 80, something like that, of them. But they're doing quite well. I've actually got some that are really robust and healthy. So hopefully I'm getting to the point where they will start to egg scatter, and maybe I'll start to see some babies and stuff, and maybe they will breed, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what shakes out. Otherwise, I'm just giving them kind of the best environment I can to just keep them happy. So, it's going pretty well, and I'm not mad at it. I would have expected them to breed by now because a lot of other fish in there have already bred in that timeline, but we'll see what happens, see what shakes out. James R. sends this in. This is the update. He almost completely restocked his 65-gallon. Currently has female betas, a guppy colony, Danio Kyathete. I always say this wrong, but hopefully we get it right. Corridora sterami, Corridora Anus. Might as well just get demonetized right now anyhow, right? Anus. Right. Corridora anus. Autos, Amano shrimp, bamboo shrimp, vampire shrimp. And it couldn't be happier with the content, with the current state it is in. I'll post a better picture once the tank clears. Just did a water change and stirred up the tank. Digging it, Hey, this looks like a nice little natural environment, and I'm going to keep going because I already know ahead of time that there is an update picture that's a little bit better to look at. So we're going to get up to that one in just a minute. But great contents, great tank. I dig it. Lexi V says a time of change. So I love my guppies, but their tank mates did not. And as their numbers increased, it got worse. Ooh. I decided to rehome them and get some new fish. I now have a small school of chili rasboras and some loaches to go with my panda cories and shrimp. Now the tank is happier and more enjoyable for me. Everything comes out of hiding, and even the tiny baby shrimp. I'd post pictures, but the webpage currently won't let me. LOL. So, Lexi, this does happen from time to time, that if you're not in the web browser version of Patreon, it is either incredibly difficult or it just doesn't want you to be posting pictures up from mobile for whatever reason. That's just like the mobile app. Depending, I bet you have an iPhone, and that's probably the deal. So that's kind of an issue. So, but you can actually open the mobile app on the desktop, or if you open up Discord on the desktop on your phone. So if you open up the desktop, then go to the Discord, you'll be able to post some pictures. But this actually is a great work through, and just a reminder to people that sometimes you have a mix that should be okay, and sometimes it doesn't work out. And it's a great point right here made to most people, is that sometimes you have to rehome fish and make some changes and stuff like that. Now I personally would have been like, man, if you're going to take guppies out and you put in chili rasboras, I would have expected some kind of crazy nonsense to pop up. And then I realized there really isn't any predator fish, and it turns out that the guppies probably were being the predators, because a lot of guppies have kind of those little unhingeable kind of mouth, right? So they can eat and nip and just be generally overly irritating to a lot of inhabitants in a tank, and just end up hammering on them. So that does make sense. And chili rasboras are definitely one of my favorite fish that I've ever kept, especially in nano tanks and stuff like that. It definitely works out pretty nice. And we got some question here. General Cure, Erythromycin, and Icex. There you go. UG Aquatics got the trifecta. There we go. I don't know. I was having a brain fart on what the three meds were. Luckily, I wasn't having to dose or take care of any fish at the moment, because I'm just doing the show. We're doing the show. VB23 says, what is your favorite fish food brand? My favorite 3 fish food brands would be Sera, S-E-R-A. So Onip tabs, and their flake food is awesome. It's amazing. It's fantastic. My second favorite brand of food would be Repashy. I feed Repashy a lot. Sera Foods, Repashy, and New Life Spectrum, NLS. Those are kind of my 3 favorite foods. Personally, I got yelled at by the guy who started and ran and operated New Life Spectrum. So on a personal level, not super happy with them, but their food is pretty good. I don't think it's necessarily the absolute pinnacle of perfection of food, but I think it's pretty good. I recommend those 3. Those would be the 3. Sarah Foods are awesome, and they pretty much never gonna give me up, never gonna let me down, right? Great. German engineered. Most of their food is all freeze-dried, time-tested, fantastic food. Works great. Repashy has some of the nicest stuff around. Also, you can definitely, because you make it into this like Jello, so it's super easy to use. You definitely don't have to break out the whole entire bottle or any of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So I definitely dig the Repashy and the specific food that they make. They make a bunch of different foods, but when I say that specificness, they make foods that are specifically targeted for specific fish. So that actually is something that's pretty cool. It's like they have like a goldfish food that's like specific to like the type of very just specifically like a pisto food. You know what I mean? So pretty cool. But the James R., here's the follow-up picture to the earlier post that we had going on. Update. Here's the update to the tank. Now it's a little bit cleared up. Took down one of my small tanks, added the plants from it to the 65. Now, I can already tell ahead of time that this thing's going to grow in. It's been growing since the last time we saw it, and it's going to keep growing in, and it's going to look a little cluttered, but I think this is going to be a pretty darn good representation, like a jungle tank. Maybe depending on how you trim it, maybe eventually you can kind of move some plants and trim them super hard and kind of do a Dutchscape thing. But I think personally, just go with the jungle tank on this one because I think it's gonna work out. Flow's gonna be pretty darn good. You're gonna have a nice amount of coverage up high, and yeah, I think I would just continue with. I would just continue with care on this tank. Trimming, replanting, a little bit of composting, that kind of stuff, doing your water changes, feeding everybody in there, and just keep going with this thing because it'll fill in, it'll get a little bit buck wild. There's a plant here that I do have to say that I'm a little bit worried about, a little bit concerned about what's going on over here. Where did it go? Where's my arrow? Well, here's a pointing finger. Will that work? Oh, I have to move it up. It's behind what we're all watching. There we go. We got a pointing finger. That's black. It's very hard to see, but we'll go with that. Over here in this corner, this Valsnaria is going to be a monumental mess at some point in time. Oh, we can make the finger even bigger. There we go. This Valsnaria over here. Keep an eye on that Valsnaria. It will send out runners all around this tank. So that would be my one big recommend. Whoops, I'm moving me. There we go. That would be my big recommendation here is to pay attention to this big time and make sure that that doesn't get sending runners all over the tank and become a big giant mess. And be proactive. Be proactive on making sure you're trimming those runners and training that plant to make sure that it doesn't just take over the whole tank because it will. So be careful with that one. VB says I need to try Sarah Foods. I really like Sarah Foods. The people, like the guy that worked, like one of the guys that's like developed Sarah Foods. Like he's the guy that he invented the freeze dryer. As far as I know, that was the guy, and he only spoke German, so I really couldn't like grill him about it or anything. So, but their food is high quality. It's always been nice. It feeds really well, and it's a dry food. I like frozen foods. I think they're great. I mean, I like live foods. I think they're great also. But just the amount of time that I spend driving out to job sites, working on job sites, driving back, all that kind of stuff. Like, there's a lot of days out of the week that I wouldn't be able to take care of live foods, and they end up dying off, and then I just end up with this like rotten mess. Freezer foods, it's really difficult for me to maintain stock and make sure that I have enough freezer foods, because I have to like get them from somewhere that has a freezer, you know? So that ends up being a pain. So I do rely a lot on dried foods and Rapashi. Rapashi and Sarah are the two main ones that I definitely utilize. Like the Sarah Onip tabs, those things are just like vital for my life, basically. Otherwise, my fish would be yelling at me about how starving they are. Corey K says, first time I've caught a stream in weeks. Well, what's up? Yeah, Corey K says, excuse the ignorance, but if Sarah makes the tabs from the co-op, they are epic. Yes, that is the Sarah Onip tabs. And by the way, everybody from that company was awesome. I mean, we were at Interzoo hanging out with those guys. I think we had one day where we had like 6 hours of meetings with them, and everyone that was there was super cool, super nice. Fish keepers, they're like very knowledgeable about the stuff that was going on. I wish we could have like figured out some kind of sponsorship deal with those guys. I mean, I wish I could have like figured out some kind of sponsorship deal. I know that they wanted like Corey and I to come out and film the food production like later on. And they were going to like sponsor the flights and hotel and make sure that it was scheduled so that we could all come out, because they do these big cleanings of the facility every like couple of months or something like that. And they wanted us to be there for like the beginning of the cleaning and like compare the two and like film it and all that kind of stuff and just show people like all the ins and outs of like maintaining the plant and that kind of stuff. Because, well, and also one of the big things was like when they do the cleaning is that like the machinery's not running food and stuff, so it actually is much easier to go in there and like film, and get like interviews with people and stuff like that. So it's a really good time because the factory's not like like making just massive amounts of noise or whatever goes on in there. But yeah, someday. Adam Wing has Cabamba caroliniana, and I have to keep the runners trimmed constantly. Yeah, Cabamba is a very invasive plant. So is Valsneria, by the way. Don't ever just throw that out in the yard. Like, don't do that. Dakota L. Davies. Finally, we get a post from Dakota L. Davies, which is awesome. So let me read the little caption here. Still have the far side to do, but enough for a photo. Just clad one of my stands with vinyl soffit and J-channel. To get inside, you just roll the J-channel back on the right side and slide the whole front as far as you need to. Wouldn't be great if you need it in there every day, but works good enough for filter cleanings and rarely used things. This is actually brilliant. Like, This never occurred to me. This never occurred to me to use some soffit and J-channel to do up a fish tank like this. But I honestly think like it looks pretty darn good, and it does make sense that you could like pop the corner and pull that out for maintenance every once in a while. And I think you are correct. Like it would be kind of a pain if you were like constantly going in and out of there because it's not like having a door. But yeah. I like it. I like I like the look, and it is smart to definitely have used some materials you're comfortable to work with. That's one of the big things. People ask me like, why don't I build metal stands? Because metal is super expensive. That's why I don't build metal stands. Can I weld? Yeah. Can I? I can't powder coat. I don't have a booth to do powder coating or anything like that. But the wood just works for me. Works out the best. It's affordable. I work with wood all the time, so I love building stands out of wood. But I probably would build them out of metal if I had material, which is one of the big things. Like I don't have any like big piles of square tube or anything like that lying around. Otherwise, I probably would. And not to mention the fact that Vicky's cousin lives like 2 blocks away from us and is a certified boat welder. So if I really needed some help, I could just make that call. You know, with the goods. Speaking earlier about Johan, this is the Johan that I'll probably be visiting in the Netherlands. Johan S, who gives us a fish of the week every week, which I dig it, man. It's kind of wild that like somebody be a fan of the show and then just take it upon themselves to like always post a fish of the week. And just, I mean, I think he's missed like 1 or 2, but it's not very often that we don't get a fish of the week. And these are fish that he keeps. So these are like pictures of fish like from at his place. So I am pretty stoked to like go check out his place. I know where it is now. I have his address. And I looked at the Google Maps, so I am ready for at least some exterior shots because I'll know what's up from the outside. But yeah, it is awesome to see like somebody just take the initiative to be like, yeah, I'm gonna do this every week. This is right. Like try to talk about some fish of the week, fish that he likes, and we get to hear about some fish that like I've never kept this fish. I've never kept the brown Acara. I've never kept it before. It's a very easy fish to care for. They are the perfect pet for any level of aquarist, from the least experienced beginner to the most veteran fish keepers. They are not an extremely large fish and are perhaps one of the most peaceful cichlids in the hobby, only becoming aggressive and territorial when breeding. They are extremely easy to feed and do not require much in the way of water conditioning or treatment. They will prefer to have a moderate amount of water movement with efficient filtration. Decoration is standard for all cichlids and includes rocks, caves, and other such natural territorial divisions, but they do not require an excessively large aquarium or to be kept in either isolation or in a species-only tank. Though port acaras are primarily carnivores, they will eagerly accept all types of aquarium foods, including live foods, flake, and pellet. They will enjoy cichlid pellets, bloodworms, brine shrimp, dried krill, keratin-enhanced supplements, and even spirulina-based foods. For the best color, I've offered live red earthworms. Aquarist experience level beginner. They get up to 8 inches and they live about 5 to 6 years. Lots of blue acaras and stuff like that, but I've never seen the port or brown acara. I don't know if maybe I have seen these, but I've never kept the brown ones before. Really cool as far as like a cichlid goes. Just overall kind of a great fish, and they definitely have some kind of distinct coloring and kind of a style that like maybe your friend that like only keeps cichlids, maybe this is the gateway to doing a Planet Aquarium or something at some point in time, right? That'd be dope, right? That'd be cool. If you could like get some of your big time cichlid buddies to like come over to the planted side, dip your toes to jacuzzi, baby, right? Mike Howie, a.k.a. the Fish Tank Barn, sends this in. Finally completed the 125-gallon South American tank. The current tank inhabitants include 5 geophagus, Heckelii, I don't know. 1 angelfish, a group of Corydorus aeneas, and 2 black-white skirt tetras. There are a lot of changes being done in the fish barn that I will post once they are closer to completion. This is dope, man. You guys know I've been around a lot of cichlid tanks and stuff like that, and I've definitely worked on a bunch of cichlid tanks, but, these kind of like the sparsity that is a cichlid tank kind of is what, it's kind of what puts me off, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, we have to spread aggression and get 90 fish in here that are just all kind of fighting with each other all the time. But the driftwood placement is nice. I like the background, and I think overall, if you had positioned yourself like a little bit higher up, a little more contrast in the picture, we probably could see a little bit more. But But I'm excited to see the finished product and check it out on YouTube whenever you get a chance to make the video and post it up. Dakota L. Davies also giving us a little follow up here on the Soffit and J channel stand covering. So liked it enough. I did it again since I had some extra. If anyone was curious, it took 3 pieces of soffit and 6 J channel to do both stands on 3 sides. 48 by 30, 36 by 30 by 18 on both, which is cool. That's not bad. That might be just like kind of the most affordable way to cover a stand, so it's not like raw wood or metal anymore. Candy Overall says he made that background from pond spray foam. I like it. I like it a lot too. I like that pond spray foam. I'm always doing that pond spray foam thing, and as a matter of fact, it is one of the culprits in our video today is some pond spray foam. As soon as we get to that portion. Robert the Butcher, what's up, my man? He got this post here, which is a fairly lengthy post. I'm going to start at the beginning and read a little bit of it to you. Hey, last week, one of the items Joel mentioned towards the end of his live stream when asked about using a timer for lights was the installation of some TP-Link Casa Smart outlets. This was something I meant to do a post about given my extensive use of them. Granted, this really is a Project Corner item. If you don't know where that is, the Project Corner is on the Discord. So that's what he's talking about right there. The TP-Link has been around in networking and hardware circles for some time. They are a name that I trust, which, by the way, I do trust the TP-Link. Also, they do seem to actually work versus some of the other brands I've ordered up and just turn into a connecting nightmare of trying to connect them to the Wi-Fi. It becomes virtually impossible. It says, I was leery about the reliability of the devices at first, but after extensive testing, I can do nothing but say good things. As you can see from the pictures I took this morning, they come in multiple of different flavors, ranging from a 2-in-1 that is quite handy, the minis that come in 2 different amp ranges, and my personal favorite, the Power Strip. Where each outlet is individually controlled, which is dope. I gotta figure out where this Power Strip is with the individual controls. And by the way, he did post some of the links down here, so you can definitely go grab these links off of the Patreon. And if you guys are wondering, yes, they should be affiliate links. So full disclosure, they'll basically let Amazon know that we sent you over to buy some stuff. Anyhow. Overall setup is a breeze, and I do not require much, if any, technical talent. I currently have 32 of these devices in my apartment for various things, and about 2/3 of them in my fish room. The smaller units are quite affordable, where the power strips tend to be around $70. All told, if you add up mechanical timers and a power strip, it doesn't take long to come close to that cost. I have all mine plugged in on a GFCI, as I am unable to swap out the outlets in the facility. The system really does work well. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have or send screenshots of the app interface. Just let me know. I have included links to the items below on Amazon with Joel's affiliate link attached. So if you're inclined to make a purchase, feel free to add any additional commentary as you see fit. That's me. He says happy tanking. That's you guys. My tanking's not happy. My tanking is therapeutic, which is sometimes unhappy, but also therapeutic, right? But yeah, here's some pictures of his setup. This is what's going on. And yeah, the TP-Link ones, I can verify, are quite easy to set up. I mean, maybe not easy, but fairly simple to set up and simple to operate, whereas a bunch of the other brands, which shall remain nameless, have been a monumental difficulty to just get them to connect to the Wi-Fi, whereas the TP-Links, they just seem to work. So I would be happy to spend the extra $2 or $3 on the TP-Link versus some other brand, because they actually do work. Rumbast from the Super Chat fame earlier sent this in. As you guys know, he's 3D printing a bunch of stuff. So he's got 3D printing, to paraphrase, Rumbast don't carry. That's not always true, but I've made it a lot easier using this 3D print. I don't know how common this type of garden hose connector is outside of Sweden, but here It is the de facto standard. As we all know, throwing the end of the hose into your tank and blasting water down into the substrate isn't a good idea. So I designed and printed this colander. It directs the water to the sides, and with it, I can go pretty much full blast when filling, though usually I go a pretty moderate pace, so I'm not late back to the bathroom to turn the water up, that's a smart idea. You know, you flood a tank a couple of times just leaving the water on. You're probably not going to forget just for a little while and then be like me who flooded the fish room by leaving the water on. But it wasn't much, maybe a half a gallon. It was just like, what's that noise? Oh, there's water hitting the floor. Like, no. You know, one of those weird situations, but it wasn't that bad. Oh, my eyes just bugging out right now. Ugh. Maybe I'm dying. Oh, no. Big D Smoke says I got to get a couple of those power strips. Yeah, I think I might have to get some of these. So the TP Links have a timer built into them that you access via Wi-Fi. So you can set up the timer to do whatever you want. I think you're going to have it like turn on on and off every 5 minutes, all the way up to, you know, the other direction of the spectrum, 10 hours, 20 hours, whatever, however long you want it to be on. But I was pretty happy with the TP Links, that they actually worked and whatnot. So this is cool. Like, so as you can see, oh, where's my arrow? I need to find my arrows, guys. Is that the arrow? No, that's the baby. That's the finger. I guess I'm going to have to give you guys the finger. Okay. But as you guys can see, so here's the water inlet right here. That's actually down on the bottom of this picture. Connects up right here, right? Clicks on to this doodad, right? It clips right into this doodad that says stop on it. Then you're able to disperse the water via what he said like is a colander, and that's a good descriptive word for it. You can see like all these holes on the side, so the water's coming down, it's hitting this flat, and then it's going to come out sideways and be dispersed by the additional holes that are on there. And it's 3D printed, so this probably was just a matter of turning on the printer and warming it up and doing a run and making one of them. Maybe, and then a little bit of sandpaper or something like that. So that is 3D printing is becoming more and more the actual efficient way of getting these little like kind of small parts and stuff like that you need, you know, which is cool. That means that, you know, we're in the future now. Red's Fine Rant sends this one in. Hello, everyone. This is my first opportunity to post on here. The YouTube fish community, especially the part of the community around Corvus and the Aquarium Co-op, got me back into the hobby not quite a year ago after a disappointing start several years back. My kids and I are having some success now, but all I have is my cell phone camera, so getting good pics is a challenge. This one here is of my daughter's Nerite snail being artistic on the side of the tank. Nom, nom, nom. Thanks for supporting our fishy restart. Well, thank you, Red. Without people supporting doing this channel, like, I wouldn't be able to do it. So I guess if it wasn't for people like you, it's kind of cyclical in that way that, like, people have been generous enough to, like, go on to Patreon and be like, hey, I got $2 a month to support something that I want to support. And I'm always, like, eternally grateful for that whole situation. And now I'm getting super deep thought. I'm getting deep in my head, guys. But thank you, everybody, for contributing in onto the Patreon and posting onto the community page. Thank you for being a part of the show. I appreciate that. Some of the Discord guys were wondering if I was going to post their tanks in today's show. Actually, we're not going to, because I was trying to cut and paste them out, and it just was not working for me. So I'm going to work on it over the weekend and Monday, and put them into the Monday show, and hopefully it'll be way more seamless. And then everybody will be like, oh my God, it's so seamless. It's unbelievable. It seems like you figured out how to do the thing. And so let's go to the video portion of the show. You guys will see me messing around with some driftwood pieces and stuff like that in the back. Those of you that will notice that this is the 120, you'll notice that the rocks are moved around and stuff. And don't despair. I, of course, filmed all of this stuff, and there will be a detailed edited video. I just don't know when. I don't know when the edited video is gonna come to a YouTube near you. Right? Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense when I sing dumb songs like that, right? Anyhow, I just wanted to show you guys my pond foam little project here. As you guys know, you guys have seen the older video of me actually making a lot of these little rock formations and stuff like that. I spray foamed them in place. I spray foamed them onto acrylic sheets, and then I dropped them all into the 120. Now, the 120 has had that driftwood in there for I don't know how long now. It's been a while. It's been a while since I messed around with this tank this extensively, right? And one of the things is, with driftwood, it will break down. It's underwater all the time. It's being hit by lights. There's bacteria all over it. There's things going on with that driftwood. It will break down. Regardless of how durable your driftwood is, it will eventually start to break down, and you're probably going to have to replace it. One of the reasons I use spray foam and stuff like this, you guys can see how easy it is to pop in these pieces of driftwood that are clearly floating, super floating. You know, I can put them into this foam. I can essentially, I whittle the end of the driftwood until it's sharp enough to poke into the foam. That'll hold it in place. It'll get waterlogged while it's sitting in there and eventually just become part of the scape, because this is spiderwood that once it becomes waterlogged, it'll just sink. You know, so there's no real worries about it floating after it having been in there for, 4 or 5 weeks or 4 or 5 days, up to a week, stuff like that. It will be fully waterlogged. It's probably not going to float. So we're basically just going for a little point of contact that's going to hold it in place where we want it to be and do that for a little bit. The gray foam that I have here is the actual pond safe spray foam. And of course I didn't get a link for it. I probably should have gotten a link for it. It's only going to take a second. It's only going to take a second to look this up, even though we don't seem to have that coming up. Pond. Where's the pond foam? I ordered it off of Amazon. It was super easy to order. One of the things about this spray foam is that it's completely non-toxic over time. Some foams and spray foams and stuff like that have PCBs and all sorts of stuff like that. I don't understand where the foam is not showing up. Where's my orders button? All right. I thought it was only going to take a second. Maybe it's only doing it for this year or 6 months. I don't know. All I'm getting is windscreens and stuff. Pond foam, spray foam, foams. Oh my God, great stuff makes a black one now. I'm gonna have to try that one. Anyhow, the one that I prefer to use is this one. It's called Waterfall Foam for Koi Ponds. It is a little bit expensive, but I will tell you guys something, that the spray foam that is for use in ponds and things of that nature is basically 100% going to be more expensive than your typical spray foam. Not by too much, but it will be noticeable if you're buying 10 cans or something like that. Like Beckett makes one. It's $16 a can. Great Stuff makes one that's pond and stone, which I've enjoyed that one. That one's $15 a can. So it's really up to you guys which one you want to use. I've seen pretty much the same volume from the same amount of ounces. Most of them are 12. And you seem to get about the same amount of volume. One of the big things to remember with utilizing something like this spray foam is that it is toxic when it's wet. So you do actually have to let it cure. It takes a little bit of time. It's not that long, but you let it cure for a couple of days. So you kind of make your thing, let it cure for a couple of days, and then you'll be able to have it in your tank and not be concerned about it. But once it's fully dried, fully cured, there really is no problems after that. The one big thing is that it is cost prohibitive, because if you go to open a can, spray some of it, it'll tell you that, like, oh yeah, don't worry, guy. If you only use half this can, you just come back later, like tomorrow, and cut the, trim the tube down, and then you just be able to keep spraying your spray foam, bro. And I've never found that to actually work. So once you open a can, it's pretty much toast. And if you're talking $15-$16 a can, I feel like as a human, I feel like it's almost wasteful to not be prepared, and then you end up like wasting half of a can, and you're like $8, $7 worth of spray foam just down the drain. So that's one thing I would always kind of remind people, and it definitely will get stuck to you, and it is a disaster. So we already talked about the Discord. We're going to be doing that on Monday. We talked about the vacation. Let's cross that out. We talked about travel. We have not talked about rebuilding the shop, but rebuilding my shop has definitely been on my mind at this point. It's something that I probably want to do fairly soon, and I'm hopefully trying to carve out enough time this winter to be rebuilding my shop. Now, I don't know what I got as far as like funding and stuff goes. I haven't really sat down to figure out like any kind of budget or the overall build, but I have started some sketches to figure out what I want to redo with the shop. It's basically an old garage. It's basically 600 feet. It's basically 600 square feet. So it's not a ton of space to work with, but that's plenty of space to do a lot of things. And I know me, I can build that thing out fairly quickly if I can iron out the time to do it, but that's the concern. The concern is whether or not I have enough time to actually do it and get it done correctly. So I am considering rebuilding the shop. I am looking for somebody to sponsor some tanks if that does come up, because that's going to be one of the big costs. Is like, maybe I just wanted to build a wall with like 10 tanks on it or 20 tanks on it or something like that. One of the big costs is like getting the tanks and stuff. So we'll see what happens if I can or will, or figure out the budget or some drawings or something like that, and see what we can see as far as possibly rebuilding the shop. I don't know. We haven't really made up our minds on whether or not we're gonna on what we're going to do, but we'll see what happens. Anyhow, what else did I not talk about? The makerspace is still something that I want to do. If the makerspace doesn't happen, then I'm probably just going to rebuild my shop. We're still far off from funding the makerspace. The makerspace is an idea that we came up with outfitting a bunch of tanks in essentially like a commercial retail space, a smaller one, of course, where we'll be able to film, host people in town, and host people like actual live fans and stuff like that. It's still on the table. We just don't have any way to fund that yet. So as much as I'd like to start these projects and like get them rolling, I can't avoid the fact that it's going to cost money. And if I start out with like 10% of the budget, then I'm just essentially throwing away 10% of the budget. So maybe I can, maybe, I don't know. What is happening right now? Huh. Weird. Okay. Either way, I was reading those chat comments there, but and I'm not willing to necessarily like start these projects with none of the money to fund it or anything. But thanks to the Patreon and stuff like that, we'll still be able to make live streams. We'll still be able to make edited content and stuff like that, and also be able to try and go to some conventions that not everybody else is going to. So could be a little bit fun this year. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. see how it goes moving into next year. Definitely getting into a rhythm with the baby and family and all the stuff that's going on. So I'm pretty excited, and I want to say thank you, UG Aquatics, for your super chat today. The Fish Tank Barn, Big D Smoke, Alvin Alejo, long time no see, brother. Joel G from New Zealand, and Rumbust. Thank you all for your super chats today. Appreciate your support. Also, Rob the Butcher, brand new member because his credit card got expired, and so he's a brand new member that was a member before, so he's returned because his credit card expired. Cal's Irons here right at the end asks, guys, any help just getting back into a 140-gallon heavily escaped tank after 7 years on the salty side? Have small holes appearing on the crypts and Anubias. Yeah, small holes is a fairly basic deficiency, not that big of a deal. Let's go back to scene 4, and we'll bust open our little. So basically, what you're looking for here is if you're somebody that's brand new. Where's my? Hold on. Where did it go? That's not it. That's not it. That's the arrow. That's the... Is this it? Nope. That's just some awesome growth. There's some floating plants. There's some floating plants there. What do we got? That's the arrow. Window region. Nope. PNG files? Maybe this is it. Yay! There it is right there. So basically what you're looking for is something like this, like the Aquathusiast's awesome little 5-minute freshwater nutrient deficiencies. So you can take a couple minutes, look at this, check it out up close, see what's going on. Is it new growth? Is it old growth? Where are these holes coming from? Do you have yellowing? Do you have spots or holes or any kind of crazy stuff like that? And then you can figure out like what your deficiency is with what your fertilizers are, like what's going on, because it's a much bigger picture than just, I got holes, what's the problem? That's kind of the issue. Like, I'm not sure what the problems are. I'm not sure what the deal is. That's another one of the reasons why we have the Discord and the Patreon and all that kind of stuff. Like, the Discord is very responsive chat. So far, we have like 90 people in there that are, from beginners to advanced, that are around, that can answer questions and stuff like that. Fairly real time. So some people are logged in, some people aren't logged in, but you can post questions up on there. You can post pictures of your own plants and stuff like that real time. So if you want to check out the Discord, become a member or go over to the Patreon and join the Patreon, and boom, then you can go over to the Discord and do that kind of stuff. So I'd love to help you out, but we have to really start to figure out like what your whole system is, and it's very difficult to do that in a live stream and reading just your basic chat questions. So yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, blah, 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 all that stupid YouTube stuff to appease the YouTube robots. And I wonder if CJ hit the button here. I think that's